if you want to change the world, you don't have to build a big temple or church or building at all. You kind of just need to have an open heart and an open tent. Matter of fact, we probably wouldn't be here. This has always been God's strategy, and if he hadn't had people sign on to this type of thinking and this type of heart, who knows how long it would have taken our faith to get where it is today. When God called Abraham, and he didn't go necessarily, he didn't go and hide in an empty desert. I know this part of the world looks kind of dry and arid now, but it wasn't. God called Abraham, go, leave your father, go, and he camped in Canaan, and Canaan, or Canaan, however you want to, technically it's Canaan, but we all say Canaan. It was a land bridge. It's a very specific location, this land bridge between Egypt and all the kingdoms surrounding it, and then all the other kingdoms on the other side of Canaan, the Mesopotamian area and beyond. And at the time, these were the greatest empires of the world. And so he set up his tent. God called him to this place, and then he set up his tent right in smack dab in basically the busiest. History teaches us this. He set up his family right in the middle of the busiest highway on the planet at the time. And every day, just streams of merchants and soldiers and sojourners and nomads and all kinds of walks of life would come through where he lived, where God called him to. And no one else was really, there were a few people groups hanging around, but no one was necessarily making a home of that place because that's not, it was the in-between. It wasn't the destination of the time. Also in this time frame, in the ancient world, hospitality was a survival tactic. It was just understood. You had to be hospitable. The desert, the land, the journey, all of that was brutal. And Jewish tradition, so this is Jewish tradition now, okay, which is okay. But Jewish tradition teaches us that Abraham kept all four sides of his tent open. And that was kind of an idiom for saying he was extremely hospitable. He didn't wait for people to ask for help. He watched the horizon. Now this we do know from Scripture. That when he saw travelers, he would entertain them. He'd run to them, he offered them shade, he washed their feet, he would feed them. And we see examples of this like in Genesis 18. Abraham looked up, saw men standing nearby, and when he saw them, he ran, hurried from the entrance of his tent to meet them. Let a little water be brought, he said, and then you may all wash your feet and rest under this tree. Let me go get you something to eat. This was his way of life. He met their physical needs, and then often when the travelers would try to thank him, he would say, well, no, don't thank me. Thank my God. And at this time, he would say something profoundly unique than any other time in history. He would say, thank the one true God, the one and only God who provides everything. Now, that was different because at this time, monotheism wasn't really a thing. Cultures of the day believed in gods. And everybody had their favorite, but everybody was okay with the fact that I got my God and you have yours. Somehow they coexist, And then they had all kinds of theological and religious debates about all that. But Abraham's out there preaching, but I've got the one God, and all these other guys are fake. All these other guys are fake. Matter of fact, another ancient Jewish tradition is that there's a particular tree, a tamarisk tree, and we see this, like in Genesis 21, where he plants the tamarisk trees. And what he's doing, he's providing shade. It doesn't really serve any other purpose. He's providing shade. He's creating an aesthetic so that people will come and gather there. That's all that was. Trees was just somewhere where we can all get under it. Except this particular trees. And over time, this tree became the symbol of hospitality. That's even to this day. And so he planted these orchards, he shared his food, and then he would talk about the one true eternal God, and always turn the focus and the attention back to him. And friends, this is how he grew the family of God. That faith in what we would come later to call Yahweh, or among a lot of other names, the one true Lord, the one true God. This is how he grew. This is how he got the message out. Because where did all those visitors go as soon as they left his house? Out to the kingdoms, out to the cities, out to the major population areas. And so he lived in a world where most of the gods of his day, by the way, were violent and unpredictable. This is what people assume. The gods are unpredictable. They're like us. One minute they might be in a good mood. The next minute they might not. And you kind of figure out whether or not they're in a good mood or not so good mood based on how your life is going. Your life ain't going very good right now. God's obviously in a pretty bad mood. Or you've done something to offend him. And so he was showing everybody that would pass through and teaching them that our God is good. And that's why I've got to show you extreme goodness. That's why I have to be so generous. And so people listened. They listened to his message and helped spread his message just because, number one, first they experienced his generosity and his hospitality. And that opened them up to hear his message. And he literally, obviously with the hand of God at his back, changed the world. He was being obedient, and he changed the world. Sitting off of a well-traveled road, just feeding and being nice to people. Now, we look through the whole Bible, especially as we get even into the New Testament, you kind of can start to see, if not, it's so stinking obvious, that this has been God's model since the beginning for how we witness, how we testify. You don't have to be an excellent, sermon writer. That was a joke. Nobody laughed. They were like, we know. We know, Pastor. We know you don't have to be an excellent sermon writer. But you don't have to, even know how to quote unquote preach and do all. You just have to know how to open your door. Bigger than that, open your heart. Because this is more about a mindset, a heart position, than it is about a method. But I'm telling you, the method is still kind of pretty good, isn't it? I mean, come on. How many will admit the atmosphere as we all came in tonight was a little different than most Wednesday nights? How many was a little bit more chatty? Okay. Talk to me. How many, was a little buzz? How many appreciate having a little coffee or a little snack? You like a little, you might not even have one, but it's kind of nice that it's there. It's kind of nice. You got some water there. It's kind of nice. Imagine if you're a guest and maybe you're here for the first time. And this is what you walk into, a friendly group of people, and there's some snacks, and there's some smiling faces, because who doesn't smile when they get a snack? And I even put out juice boxes, because I don't know about you, but I love juice boxes, and I only ever get any. I thought I'm going to put some juice boxes out for the adults. It's nice. It's nice. And when I was preparing this talk tonight, I felt like the Lord say, what do you do to show a little bit of hospitality on the midweek? I said, that's kind of what prompted all this. And I'm really grateful for Walmart delivery. I was able to get all these snacks pretty easy. And it really wasn't a whole lot of effort. I had some great people helping me. And of course, my kids were voluntold. 20 minutes, if that, and we're done. But just little simple acts of hospitality. And we'll do this for the next couple of weeks. Don't worry, it won't be like, so next week is it going to be? We may continue to do something like this moving forward. Period. I put it to you like this. When people feel cared for, and then they open up a little bit, and they hear you, and then what they're hearing out of you is pointing to God, that makes all the difference. All the difference. Now, here's the problem. All right? Can I let you in a little bit on my world? My vocation. Everybody else gets to vent. My problem, look, I have people all the time, whether they will admit it or not, looking for connection. Just want to be connected. And you, here tonight, you may actually just be here tonight, not because you care that much about JP's, preaching. You like being connected. You like being connected with other people. And I know this to be true because some of you are already living this out, and some of you haven't stepped into it yet, but some of you might actually be called to helping create situations just like this. You might be called to lead a circle, to help others feel connected, feel welcome, feel seen, feel loved. And yeah, we all, look, I get it. And we all then have a message we want to share. Some theme, some heartbeat, something that there's something that we have a passion for, and we want other people to have a passion for it too. But people don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care. And so life gets hard, right? Everybody's going through stuff. And the problem is that we still try to live life as a solo act. And especially when things get hard or hurtful or painful, we, like most humans and even animals, try to isolate. So there are tons of people who drive to Kingsway Church every Sunday, and they sit in rows. That's why I had to get rid of the rows tonight. You're in a row. Shame on you tonight. That's for Sundays. But we come and we sit in rows. And we hear the music. We might even sing along. And they listen to the message. And we go home. And maybe it had impact. Maybe it challenged. Maybe it caused something to change or begin to change in their life. But they still could go home disconnected. not really connected to another human being. They could walk right out of here on a Sunday and still feel lonely. Still go have lunch by themselves after having left a building full of hundreds of people. Because a Sunday service cannot fix loneliness. A service can't fix it. Real friendships are what fixes that. And I happen to think that y'all are some of the best people around. I know almost all of you in this room, and maybe many who will watch this message tonight. I think Kingsway has got some of the best people in the bluegrass. And I think to myself, everybody needs a friend like Terry, Margaret, even a Dr. Susie. You laugh, but something bad happens. Who you calling to pray for you? We all need it. We want to feel it. We want to, and some of us have it, right? Some of us have it. Sometimes I feel like I am about as connected as I can stand. You know? I call it peopling. Anybody else get a little tired from all the peopling? I get tired from peopling sometimes, but I wouldn't trade those people for anything. It's just I need a break every now and then. You need a break? I mean, most of these people I'm peopling are I live with. But then you have your whole extended family, and then you have your whole family of God. So when people come to a church, I think it's fine. I don't think it's a bad thing. When they come to a church or a church service, they're looking for God. They're looking for God. But they're also looking within that context for a family, for real friendships. Because how many know there's close friendships? That's the family you get to choose. And they come in on a Sunday, mostly, and okay, if they experience and connect it with God, oh, great. But God could speak to me through a YouTube sermon. When we get in this room and we get around one another, we're looking to see, do I have a friend here? And how hard is it for me to make a friend? So people can come, and the problem, I think, especially now, and most probably don't even know it, is that we have a large population inside of our own church that aren't friends with people inside of their own church. And if you just come on a Sunday and never experience even simple things like this, and we offer a lot of other things too, then you're missing out on family. And I don't know why. A lot of people like to stay anonymous. I love the folks who like to sit on the back row of the balcony. What's funny, the reason why I laugh and I think it's funny is because it's like, I see you. You're not anonymous. I know you feel like you're hiding, but we all see you. And God sees you. We know where you're at. And so I want to challenge, and I know this isn't this challenge, not for this crowd, but we could fall into this too if we're not careful. But we got to help people. I need you. I need the leader. I need the people who understand this to help me reach other folks who are trying to do this as a solo act. And the only way I know how to do it is to bring attention to it and to say, it's here, it's among us. I can give you a long list of names. If anybody knows me, I'm a data person. First thing I did was fix our systems when I got here. And then, on top of that, started classifying everybody. You're either a part of the crowd, the congregation, or the core. Now, I won't give you my parameters on what puts you in what circle. I'm not trying to offend anybody. But my goal is to take everybody that's in that crowd and try to move them into the congregation, and then try to get everybody that's in that congregation to move into the core. But I can't do that. Pastors can't do that. We can't facilitate all of that on our own. It takes a church to love and mature and to grow a church. And it's not that difficult. Monotheism grew from one family to millions in the matter of one person's generation. Because he set up his tent and he opened up all four sides. Now, we look at the early church, because I know you're like, well, yeah, but that's the Old Testament. What about the New Testament? And we look at the New Testament. Yeah, in the early church, they didn't just meet in big buildings. They didn't have a lot of that kind of stuff. So they met in homes, but they also met in public courts. I know there's a big push with the home church movement, but the church would have never grown if the only place the church ever met was in homes. That's not historically correct, and it's a faulty mindset. They met in homes and anywhere else they could gather. At one point, they're meeting in catacombs. But they also met in a public square, and until they got kicked out, they met into the public square at the temple. They had open-air gatherings. We even see this in the life of Jesus. They circled up basically anywhere they could. They circled up anywhere they could. It wasn't just homes. So I know a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to do groups, or I don't want to do because it's the homes. Fine, where will you circle up? Well, I can't have people in my home. I can't have that. That's fine. Where could you grab a group and circle up? They circled up wherever they could. They ate together a lot. Now, a lot of that, again, in biblical times and beyond, that was survival. We're blessed, right? We're blessed. We tend to eat together, not so much about survival. We get to eat together for camaraderie and fellowship. And they did too. That was going on too. And then they would share burdens, and they would share one another's needs. And it wasn't like that was a part of the program. Isn't that just kind of like how we are? Once you make friends with people, then you just talk about life. And what's going on and how to deal with it. Except if we're believers, we try to deal with life the way that would make God happy or pleased with how we're handling it. Or we try to help other people deal with whatever they're going through in such a way to help them see, well, what would be pleasing to the Lord. So they devoted themselves to that kind of teaching. I know we devote ourselves to all kinds of teaching because we have a lot of scripture now. They didn't have all the things we had. They were working it out in real time. They broke bread and they prayed. They took the cup, the wine and the bread, and they remembered Christ and who he is inside of all of them. That was life. That was real life. And that's not a show. It wasn't a program. It was just living life side by side. And now, I'm talking about how then do we open up our lives. Not just our homes. Not just our homes. Because you can circle up anywhere. One of the things you're going to learn about over the next few weeks is that we're actually rearranging things and how things happen on Wednesday nights to make space where people can circle up more. We'll still be doing this. We'll still be having our prayer circle, but we're opening it up, and you'll hear more about it, where, you know what, if there's a group that needs to circle up because they got some parenting challenges and they want to talk through some things and they need a support group to help move through that, and what does the Bible say about it, and who's going to pray with me about it, and who's in it with me. Somebody needs a group like that, and somebody's called to lead it, then let's do it. And when we do it, how many know, I've been saying this a lot lately, I don't know, I'm a parent, right? So a lot of the lessons I find myself teaching my children, and then all of a sudden you'll hear me talk about it in the pulpit. And one of the lessons is there's what you're supposed to do, there's what we should be doing, there is the what, there's always the what, and normally the what is easy. And then there's how we do it. Because how many know, I know the what. I know I'm supposed to wash the dishes. But throwing things around and screaming and yelling at people and having an attitude while you do it, that's not the how. Well, I think sometimes we get a little bit like that with the church and with how we serve and with how we try to obey God. He's like that parent who's saying, you know what to do. Yes, I know what to do. I'm supposed to go to a group or lead a group. I'm supposed to be connected with friendships. I know it. So I'm doing it, aren't I? I'm here, aren't I? And God's like, well, you got the what down. What about the how? What about how you're doing it? Are you sharing some food? Are you sharing a coffee? Are you opening up a little bit? Are you prepared? If you're leading that little circle, you got things set up right? Is it ordered? Does it look like, does it communicate that you were expecting them and excited that they're here? What would you have thought if you had walked in tonight and we were still pushing chairs around and the coffee will be ready in 10 minutes? You'd be like, well, didn't they know we were coming? See, there's the what we do, and then there's the how we do it. And we do all of that. Just share that sense of hospitality, because it's what opens the door to what's more meaningful, which is speaking into one another's life and praying for one another and helping one another grow. This is the Bible's answer to loneliness, to isolation. And that's why the early church, that's why monotheism grew so fast. Who knew? Who knew? People saw how they were being treated and how these God-loving people treat other people, and thought, well, okay, I'll sit down and have a cup of coffee and listen to what you have to say. Now, the world has gotten real cold, y'all. Very cold. Very antagonistic. They're watching. And the church is supposed to be where it's warm. And the church is, by the way, wherever you are. I'm not just talking about Sunday services or even the midweek. Anytime we're circled up, if they walk into that circle, they're supposed to feel warmth. Not more of the same of what's going on in the world. Complaining and griping and talking about so-and-so. That's why a lot of people, over time, get a little turned off at the church or by the church. Meaningful relationships, though, that's the only way to experience a full life in Christ. Meaningful relationships. And I don't know, some of you may be feeling, well, that's great. That's great. Maybe you're listening to this message and you're thinking, that's great. And I agree. And I'm so glad I have those kinds of friendships. Yeah. That's wonderful. However, might the Lord be calling you to be one of those types of people that steps up and helps build circles like these so somebody else can feel the warmth. Making friends as an adult is hard, isn't it? I mean, for some of us. There's some of you can make friends with a tree. But most of us, it's hard. People don't know how to do it anymore. People don't know how to do it anymore. I'll friend you on Facebook. That means we're friends. I may never speak to you again. But I liked the picture you posted 3 years ago. Isn't that enough? That should be enough. We just don't know how to do it. People feel awkward, don't they? Sometimes we feel awkward. You walk into a room. Some of you might have felt a little awkward tonight. A little different. A little, I ain't sitting up there. Pastor Carla may bite me. We're scared of people for some reason. And maybe, I don't know, maybe it's because they fear rejection or feeling like they're going to do something because it's all new and out of place. I don't know. But imagine if there was a group of people out there whose sole purpose is to be thinking about how can I make this circle feel so warm. There's no way anybody could feel awkward or out of place. And just giving space for people. All because you're thinking about them before they got there. And thinking through all of that. You know, our goal here as a church, I know I'm talking a lot. I'm going to get some questions here in a second. Our goal here as a church, I tell people, my goal, I just tell you, my goal is not to operate with a mindset that's like, well, let's make sure a pastor's there. That's not my mindset. Well, we need to make sure we have a pastor. I mean, obviously, we try to be in places and spaces that are important and bring care as we can. But that's not my goal. If my goal is to be, or the pastors here, if we're the only ones that can step in and be there when care is needed, number one, we're going to fail. And number two, we're maxed. Can't care for any more people. Sorry. We're maxed out. So my goal is not to make sure that a pastor is there. My goal is to make sure the church is there. And that's different. Because it's all of our jobs to care for all of the church. And we're it. I mean, look around, friend. We're it. That scares some of you, doesn't it? Because you know some of these people. That's a joke. But kind of for real, right? It's kind of like we're circled up with who we're circled up with. We got to build with who we got. It's kind of like being born into a family. We're born again into God's family, and this is where he said your local little intermediate family is going to be. And then you look around and go, yeah, but it's got Uncle Dale over there. We all know. Help us. But really, we circle up, and we don't get to choose who gets to be a part of God's family. And honestly, even with all those hiccups and those personalities that rub each other, and that person's kind of a little too much for me, and then that person's just so quiet as a mouse. I can't hardly stand it. I don't know what to do. I feel like I have to do all the talking, and we move through all that personality is bumping around. But the truth is, when someone loses their job, we catch them. Doesn't matter what your little personality hiccups are. Family goes through a hard time, grieving. We're there. We kind of stop caring about all that stuff, don't we? Because when someone really starts to feel the bite of life, we show up. And we're there. We're there at the viewings. We're there in their living room. We're there meeting them for coffee, whatever it takes. And that's how it's supposed to be. On the front lines, caring for each other. And so, as I kind of round third and head home tonight, can somebody say amen? What does this look like in real life? Because I've already told you as pastor, this is prevalent in our church. I'm putting you on notice. I'm being transparent. Everybody wants the pastor to be transparent until we're transparent. And they were like, oh, dial it back. But the truth is that we've got a lot of people that call Kingsway home, but not family. And I can't fix that by myself. And so I can only share the burden. I can only share the heart. And so as we just kind of end our time tonight and pray about this for a few minutes, can somebody tell me as you sit here, and I'll look, I'm actually trying to model what circling up looks like at the same time as actually talking about it. But anybody want to take 60 seconds and just tell us, share with us, how did the church show up for you when your life got hard? Anybody got an example? How did the church show up for you when life got hard? What did that look like?